everyone, what's up? This is Simon from the Ionic Academy. In this quick video, I will show you how you can create a side menu which displays different items based on the role of a user. So we will add a simple authentication, just a dummy authentication mechanism, and I'll show you how you can display two different menus to two different user groups. So let's dive into the content. I've created a blank new Ionic app and we go ahead by creating a few pages. So first of all, we need, of course, a login page. The second page we need then is the menu page. So this will host the menu and all the content within the menu. Then we need more pages for the different users. So we will have an admin user and we will have a regular user, for example. So let's add an admin and admin second page, and then we go ahead and create a page for the user and also, let's say, a user second page. Finally, we need a little provider, so Ionic G provider, and let's call this one out. So this provider will take care of handling our login flow. Then we can start the lab in the background and go ahead. Perhaps we start by making sure our app module is set up correctly. So the auth provider needs to be here, should be there if you create the file with the Ionic CLI. Then you can also remove the homepage. Normally the homepage is created without a module file, so we can't use lazy loading and blah blah blah. Just remove it. We don't need it. Okay, that's everything for the app module. For the app component, also the homepage goes away and we replace this with a login page, which means we will start our app with the login page. So let me bring in the view and there we go. So our login page is now the first page in the navigation stack and the first page we display to a user. So let's continue with our dummy authentication provider. This one actually pretty easy because we don't need the HTTP stuff and we won't make any real backend communications, but this is the place where you could plug in your own backend. So let's start by creating a little interface user, just if you want a bit more typing for some of the values. So a user might have a name and he might have, or she might have, a role. And for the constructor, for the auth provider, we now create the function login. And for the login, we need, of course, a name and a password. And I'll make this already with a little promise, or you could also use an observable, however you like to, so you get in the flow of using the async login, which you will have when you use a real backend. So then we return a new promise once a user tries to log in, perhaps a few more brackets, resolve, reject, and then we can go ahead with our promise. So for this case, I will make this super simple. If the name is admin and the password is also admin, we will create a new user and then we will resolve our promise with true. Okay, so that's basically the login. Let me also add the current user object, which is of the type user. And once we are logged in, we set our current user to the name of the logged in user, and for the role we will use 0 if this is an admin and 1 if this is a regular user. So let's add a second block. So if a user logs in, we also set the name, but now we set the role to 1. And every other combination of what was I about to say? Any other combination of name and password is ignored in this example. So really just a dummy login. Perhaps you need other functions So always good to have something like is logged in, and here we could return if the current user is not null. Also, of course, we might need a logout function. This would be the place to set the current user to null, so then he's not logged in anymore. And perhaps we also want to check if the user is an admin, and here we return if the role of our current user is 0, otherwise he would be a regular user. Again, this is just some dummy logic for a provider. If you have a real backend that you can plug in, it's of course better. You could have text roles or different roles, you could have multiple rules and add other checks. But for now, this is enough to see if a user is an admin, if a user can log in or not log in. So let's go ahead with our login page. Okay, I don't want this. I also don't want any of this. I'll call this now login. Perhaps I can just bring this in to save some time. So for the login, of course, we need the username and password field, and both should be connected with ngModel, or if you have a reactive form, of course, with a reactive form. But for now, this is fine. And also our button to finally call the login user function. And make sure that you got the object for the ngModel. I will also, very safe, add the values so we can test our functionality a bit faster. Now make sure to import the provider you created in the step before, which is our auth provider. And then when we log in, we can call our auth provider login this.user.name and this.user.password. And because we're returning a promise, we can now use then, and inside our success block, we can check if this was a success, and otherwise we could display some kind of error message. So if it's a success, we simply set our root page, which means we're replacing the whole view stack to the menu page. So no logic for checking which user is logged in. Until now, all of this will be handled inside the menu page. So for the other case, let's just bring in the alert controller from Ionic, and let's present a super simple alert. Login failed, check your credentials, okay, and present. Let's see if this is already working. So we refresh, and now normally the login credentials should be already filled out. As you can see, if I remove something, okay, of course, that's not needed in here, but right here. So in the error case, we should do this, not at any other point, because we reject the promise, and now this should work. And there it is. So the login failed with wrong permission, and if we have the right credentials, we are on the menu page. And now it's actually time to add the logic to display different menus to the user. But first of all, well, it doesn't matter at which point we start. If we use the menu HTML or TS, perhaps we start with a TypeScript file. So let's use the Ion view will enter lifecycle event in here, and in here we want to check if our current user is an admin. So again, we need the auth provider, and because we've prepared the function already, is admin, we can easily check if the current user is an admin. Otherwise, he's not an admin, he's a standard user. So we could also set the username if we want to. And then we need an empty array of pages, and these pages will be the menu links for our app. And let me show you how we can set up such a pages array. So if our user is an admin, we set our pages array to two different components. So first is called admin page, second admin second page. Also with the titles, and we can do the same for a regular user, but simply give him a different array of pages. So now he has the user page and also the user second page. And once this array is set, we might need a new function to open a page which is in general used. And at this point, the nav controller is not working that good inside your menu because you need the root navigation of the menu. And we can do this by adding viewchild nav of the type nav, and then using this root navigation, or it's not the complete root navigation, but it's the root of the menu. And we set the page this. We will see what this does once we get to the menu HTML in a second. But for now, just make sure that you call this open page function once the view appears for both our states. So the admin will start on the admin page and the regular user will start on the user page. And this will also be used from the menu links that we will have pretty soon. Of course, we need a logout function. We got the auth provider logout. Normally you would destroy some JSON web tokens or whatever you saved. And then you need to navigate back to the login page. And now using the nav controller is not working. Perhaps I will add this. Let me add this so we can see what's actually going wrong. I will also add wrong, and I will add the right way of doing this. And this is by injecting the app controller from app simply, and then using this .app get root nav, and then calling set root on the root navigation, and there we go. And this will then actually set the page correctly. Okay, just a little reminder. Also, if you want to protect your pages, we will not really make use of this here, but to give you an idea is you can use something called auth guards with Angular and also with Ionic. In Ionic, they look a bit different in version 3. So this is called Ion View Can Enter, and here you can return our, nope, of course not this, auth provider is logged in. So this is a pretty good feature you can add to your pages. You could also add this to the admin pages and check if the user is really an admin. So then nobody could ever access those pages if he's not an admin. Right now with a URL, the users might be able to access those pages, and with the auth guards, you can protect your pages completely. All right, that's it for the menu, and now the funny part begins. Adding the HTML. So the Ion menu, if you haven't seen it, looks like this. We need first of all the Ion menu, and below the Ion menu we got Ion nav, which is the content. So the menu knows this is the content and it will set all the content in here. Make sure to call this main so the pages are set correctly, and this will start with a root page, and there we go. This can now move to the Ion menu. So this basically defines what we see on the side of the screen once the menu is in, like a little header and the buttons, and this will be the main area the user sees when he selects an entry. So inside the Ion menu, we got our header area defined, pretty cool. But now we need, of course, our content and the links inside. So we can wrap all of this inside a list and then add buttons of the type Ion item. Perhaps you don't want the detail error and you want to apply menu close to those buttons, because then when you click on the button, the menu will automatically close and you will see the page. So leave this out if you don't want it, but normally you will want this. And then we iterate over the array of our pages. And remember, the pages will look different for the admin and the regular user. And on click of a page, we of course want to open the page, p.page, right? Yes. All right, and inside the button, we have also specified some icons. Let's add them to the start. And then you can make those brackets around name because we're referencing a variable in here. So normally you have something like whatever planet in here and without the brackets, but as we're using our variable.icon, we need to wrap this in brackets. Okay, we got the icon and title is also coming from this. And now we got a list of buttons and the menu will look different based on the user. Of course, you could also have a specific header or footer or whatever you like based on the status of the user, because we can easily check if the user is admin or which role the user has in here. To wrap this up, perhaps you want a little Ion footer below the content, and this will just display the username and a logout button. I think we haven't actually defined the username. So we've created the user in here, but we should also set our user. So let's do this right here, this auth provider, and we've stored the current user. Perhaps you can also wrap the current user or get name into another function, but for now, this is of course fine. Now finally, we need one more thing. Right now, if we navigate to the admin or user page, we have no chance to see our menu again. Therefore, we need to add this button menu toggle, which will automatically display if a menu is available. So go ahead and add this to your admin page, add it to the admin second page, and get rid of this if you want to. And of course, also apply it to our two user pages. And finally, user second. And again. And now let's give this a try. I'm pretty sure I have some issue created anywhere. And also, I don't want this padding. This doesn't look nice. Okay, here we are, admin, again, wrong credentials, no login. Admin login, we're on the admin page, we got the menu toggle, and within our menu we see admin dashboard and admin second page. We see the username at the bottom and we got a logout. And this is now exactly what I wanted to show you. So using the current navigation setting root login is not working. This is simply setting your main area again, which you're doing right here as well. So let's remove this. Don't remember this part, only remember this part. Let's refresh again. And there we go, admin second page, logout, and we're back on the menu, on the login without any issues. So back in, logout. Let's try, we're a different user, login, and there we go. We see now we got the user dashboard, now we got the user second page, the name is user, and we still got the logout. Alright, so that's how you can easily create a side menu with two different or multiple different lists with buttons. So you could have one app that works both for your admins and also for your regular users. You can display different items and you could have all of them in one project. Keep in mind what I said before about the nav guards. If you truly want to protect the pages, perhaps add these little checks to the pages, to the Ion you can enter to make sure nobody can access a page that he or she should not access. And also, if you need more guidance, also check out the ionicacademy.com. There's a whole course on the JSON Web Token authentication, on building a little Node.js backend. So you could then connect everything inside your Ionic app, completely backend, front end, full stack, everything you need. And of course, there are many more courses. I think right now there are about 30 courses and more. New content is added every month. Check out the ionicacademy.com and I'll see you inside the next video. Have a great day and take care.